Good day. Figured I'd give you a little update on how the blueberries are doing. It is June 23rd, and normally we get blueberries. They'll come on that first week of July, but these bushes over here, these are part of the old ones, the original ones I probably planted over 10 years ago, and I was able to cover these with netting over the years just because it was a smaller patch. But then these berries over there, you know, with 200 of them, I'm not about to cover all those, so the birds will eat quite a number of those, but at least with this netting I'm able to save some of the berries on these. But I figured I'd give you a look at how some of the berries are doing on this. So I've got quite a number of varieties in here. I just sort of was buying different ones that I thought I would like, and started with early blues, blueberries. I got some jerseys, dukes, and down at the far end on the other side of the netting I got some darrows and some liberties. So I've got a pretty wide variety of berries here, but the earliest ones are these early blues, like they're called. They're the early season versus a mid or a late season berry. And these guys are coming on pretty strong. And what I've noticed, once the berries start turning blue, it's usually about 10 days before they're ready to pick. Just because they look like they're ready. They're not really flavorful right now. The birds love them, but they're really acidic. There's no sweetness to them yet. So the birds tend to like the acidic berries over the sweet berries. So they'll come in and they'll eat up these berries real quick. But yeah, they're turning pretty quick. And this is 23rd. This is even a little early for the early blues. We have had a hot stretch of weather here lately, so I'm thinking maybe the heat has sped up the ripening on them. But yeah, and then just by comparison, here's a blue ray. And you can tell there's hardly any blue at all on these berries. And these are a mid-season berry. So you're not really going to see these ripen until, the later part of July. And if you're wondering about my little net Quonset hut I got going on here, I just took some, I think it's 3/4 inch PVC pipe. And it's about, it's 20-foot length and maybe another 4 feet, so 24 feet. I pounded I got about a 12-inch chunk of rebar that I pounded in the ground. Then I just leave about 4 inches of it leaving out of the ground. Then I slide the pipe on it. I've screwed little Tech screws down at the bottom, and that's what centers the rebar in the pipe. And then I'm also able to hook the netting on it. So I'll just snag the netting by pulling it on it, just get it wrapped in, and it sort of catches it. And I'll put screws, I got a screw right here, and then correspondingly a screw on the other side, and it's up about maybe 4 or 5 feet up from the bottom. So I just have 4 screws total, 2 on each side. And I grab this netting, which is just like bird or deer netting you can buy at your local hardware store. Usually comes 20 foot wide by 100 feet long. And then I just sort of stretch it over the pipe. I put a rope in between them, sort of half hitch them together to keep the pipes vertical. And then I just run the rope down to a stake in the ground, one on each end, just to keep it taut. It's not perfect, but it's worked pretty good keeping birds out. But over there I got my first load of sawdust. I order up usually 2 units, which is 14 yards. They come out in 2 trucks, and it's fir sawdust, and I'll spread that underneath all these blueberry bushes. And like I've said before, sawdust has a number of advantages. First, it's a good ground cover. It keeps the moisture in the ground, and it prevents weeds from growing through it. And the weeds just don't seem to seat themselves into the sawdust, and they just don't grow up through it either. And it over time it decomposes, and it adds organic matter to the soil, and in doing so it helps lower the pH of the dirt. May not look like it, but that's 7 yards of sawdust, fir sawdust we get from our local garden shop out here in a little town called Boring. The name of the company is Boring Bark. So I just have a little system that I use my little garden trailer. I tow behind my little John Deere garden tractor. I load it up with the 1025R, and it loads it up pretty quick. The slow part is having to use a shovel to unload the trailer. And I'll cover all these beds with probably 3 to 4 inches of sawdust all the way around it. As you can see, these are the blue crop, and they've got a lot of berries. Should be another bumper crop. We'll see how many we pull off. I do keep track. There are some ones just starting to turn. You may not be able to see them well. Just starting to turn. So I'll probably throw that bird squawker on here. Oh, probably maybe even tomorrow morning, just to make sure the birds don't get used to coming in and eating these. And the trick is to keep them off the bushes early, and then they just don't seem to come back. So this is a good example of what the bushes do when they get the berries on them. You know, these were all pruned up to where they were all standing nice and straight, but as soon as you get the weight of the berries ripening, you know, these branches are almost touching the ground, and they just bend over, and they pretty much all are doing it, which is why I prune the way I do. I try to prune them up and get rid of all the lower branches. And what it ends up doing is that the tall branches bend over when they got the fruit, and it makes it real easy for picking. You know, the kids and whoever can come here and they can pick pretty easily, right at waist height. Because yeah, they're all bending over, and they'll bend over even more as they ripen up.